Hello everyone. A warm welcome. Good evening to everyone. I'm Dr. Nikita Vaidya. I am an orthopedic physiotherapist and I work as center head for Worli branch of aquacentric therapy. So today we are here and we are live to discuss about some really interesting topic about role of kinetic control in movement health. Now, when I listen to this term kinetic control, the obvious name that pops in everyone's mind is none other than Dr. Himakshi Basu. We all know that Dr. Himakshi Basu is one superpower physiotherapist with tremendous knowledge in this field. She is the leading physiotherapy practitioner for last 27 years and accredited kinetic control tutor and practitioner. She holds a postgraduate specialization in manual therapy from the University of South Australia, Adelaide. She is the founding member and instructor for the Academy of Rehab Sciences. So, Dr. Himakshi Basu, it's a gratitude and an honor to welcome you. I welcome Dr. Himakshi Basu. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Hi, Nikita. Thank you so much for such
How are
a
you?
fantastic introduction. Thank you. I'm fine. I hope everybody else is fine.
Yes, ma'am. I hope all our viewers are also doing safe and following all the precautions.
Yes,
I'm super excited to be interacting with you. So,
same here. Same here.
so as we all know how fundamental movement is, like it's very simple, yet a very vital aspect of our life. However, if this movement goes somehow dysfunctional or starts irritating us, or we go do it in some wrong way, somewhere we lose, the loop is lost and sort of it irritates us. So how important movement is. So ma'am, here's my first primary question to you as the kinetic control tutor. Would you please explain us about what kinetic control is and why movement correction and evaluation is so important through it?
Yeah, I'm glad because I think a lot of people are not aware what kinetic control does. Actually, there are many groups and many people who do a lot of movement evaluation, movement assessment. The only difference with kinetic control is that they have standardized a particular concept of assessing movement with a proper clinical reasoning, and therefore coming up to a movement diagnosis and then treating that movement. And I would not say treating the movement, I would say retraining the movement and the muscles which control that movement. So that is what kinetic control has put down, the vast concept of movement into a really nice and a concise fashion. That's why it's a little different. And trust me, I have attended a lot of international workshops, and I always told myself that I want to teach a concept which was very close to my heart. And so every concept, how it is, you learn a concept and say, oh, I want to teach this. But then eventually I was still not convinced till I did the kinetic control course, and I invited people, especially Sarah and Mark, who are the founders of kinetic control. I told myself, that's it, because they made it so easy and simple, and made it a very systematic fashion. So it was very easy to assess. So there were tests which were there to assess the movement. There were tests after you know if they pass or fail the test, then you know how you can retrain that movement. And then we also worked out that what are the muscles which control that movement. So that's how kinetic control is very different and helps you in your clinical practice much better, to grow and helps
Right,
patients also a lot better. Yeah.
right, ma'am. True, very true. So is it continuously on the basis of what Samin had laid down? So it's like a modified
Yes. Yes, you are absolutely right. The whole concept started with Shirley Salmon, and I think many other people have taken this concept and built it up in the different way. But Sarah and Mark has created a little their own niche to understand movement better. Obviously, started with Shirley Salmon.
Right, right. Because we've all been through it, and kinetic control, what little bits of it we know, we are very eager to get the maximum, to ask you the most that we can. So, ma'am, my next question
My
to you is,
pleasure.
how different is the concept of kinetic control as compared to what we do in a conventional rehab or conventional strengthening or mobility training? How does it really?
Okay, so Nikita, that's a very, very good question. And so a lot of my patients, just to give you a little background, get very excited when I tell them, okay, you can go ahead with your gym exercise. But they say, oh, I've got an injury. So how can I do? You cannot do gym exercises. Okay, just to explain this little difference, in kinetic control, we do a lot of low load training, which is working with your smaller muscles, which is your stabilizers and obviously the synergistic mobilizers. But when you do gym, you're working with high threshold work versus low threshold work. So what happens is, your gym and your strength training, moment you add a resistance, whether it is your TheraBand or your weights or whatever your resistant tool is, it becomes where you're firing a high threshold muscle. That's why that's your strengthening. Your conditioning is then taking it to another level. But when we talk about movement training, we talk about low threshold muscles. We talk about stabilizers where they don't need resistance. They don't need load. Your body weight or your movement is itself is a load. For example, if you want to sit on a chair or you're going to walk, you don't need strength, right? So when I'm working with people with low back pain and who have any disc injury, for example, a lot of time they'll say, running is not an issue, but if I have to go walking into the mall, if I have to go shopping, I get a bigger backache than when I go running on the field. You understand? So that's the difference between strength training, where you're working with high threshold muscles, and you're working, when you're talking about retraining movement, you're talking about low threshold. And you need to work smaller stabilizing muscles than to work with the bigger mobilizers. So that's the biggest difference. And as you know, Nikita, when you're in pain, the first muscle or the first type of muscle to switch off are your low threshold muscles, which is your slow motor unit. And muscles are made up of both fast motor unit and your slow motor unit, but your pain, which I consider to be like a virus in your body, how it slows your computer, it actually slows your slow motor unit, your low threshold muscles. That is why sitting becomes more difficult. It becomes an effort when you are in pain.
Right.
I hope that helps.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Understood. So, ma'am, what we are understanding from here is how important it is to get the correct movement or get the right muscles first before jumping to a gross movement. So,
Absolutely.
to get it isolated or to get it localized first, am I right? Then going for
Right,
a compound.
right. So you need to, so what kinetic control talks, or any kind of movement retraining talks, is that we need to change things here at the higher center. Okay, because, and to change the understanding of movement at your brain level, you need to dissociate the movement. That's important. And that's how you will then automatically integrate to a compound movement.
Right. Understood. Nice. Very nice concept. So, ma'am, now when you just rightly said that pain actually inhibits a few motor units and it becomes difficult to do the movement, as you rightly said, the virus in the body. However, in case of chronic pain or even an acute pain, but which is of grade say 0 to 3 or 0 to 4, so is there any role of correcting the movement and the pain can
Yeah,
anything?
absolutely. The thing is, what they say is that if you, for example, if I use the back, so if I have an acute pain in the back, you don't really, when there is pain, your slow motor unit will not be recruited. So obviously, you will first try and get the pain down. But if the pain is a minimal of say 1 or 2 on 10, for example, on your pain scale, you can start recruiting the muscles without causing any pain movement. I will start working at the hip and not move the lumbar spine. You understand? So
Okay.
psychologically, even patient feels, oh, I'm not moving the back, but I'm still moving the hip. And it indirectly gives confidence to the patient that, okay, don't move the back. It serves my purpose of retraining the lumbar flexion movement by doing hip flexion. So that really works. And I am sure, like, I mean, you work with water and you work a lot with the hydrotherapy. Like when I was back in Australia, we used to do a lot of people with acute pain or post-surgical pain, where for them to understand, we bring them into water because you know that the water really reduces your pain and makes your limb a lot lighter, and therefore the understanding of pain at the brain level becomes a lot better. So doing hydrotherapy first, like in water, and then going back to land training always works fantastic. And you can integrate your isolated movement to compound movements from water to land or land to water. It works fantastic with patients.
Yes, ma'am, you very correctly pointed out, because as you said about the pain intensity, specifically in post-operative cases, when there's a maximum protective phase or a highly protective phase, and there are weight-bearing restrictions on land, but we don't want to lose the muscle memory, and physiologically 2 weeks is good enough for things to start getting reversed. So in order to preserve the muscle memory, um, and to get the movement pain free and safer, warm pools do play a big role. So we get good results post operatively. However, ma'am, in certain cases, as you said, in water the movement is compound, so sometimes we have to start treating them on land. Say for example, teach them what neutral spine is, then maybe squat,
Yes.
and then in those cases then we challenge them as a turbulent medium. So
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And also, what happens is, just to add to what you're saying, sorry to cut you through, but a lot of times they understand without pain better than with pain. Right? So that's why water plays a great role because it calms the muscle down, therefore, it calms the brain down. And as you said, that they need to understand to isolate the movement in land. But what any movement retraining says, that it doesn't matter. Like say for example, you even play a sport, you're not going to isolate the movement in when you're playing the sport, right? So your retraining is isolation, but your outcome is compound. Okay,
right.
and that outcome to a compound movement only happens when you've changed things at a higher level and retrained, or what I would say, erase the old memory, fire in the correct memory or the new memory which stays, and you can integrate it to a compound movement, whether it is land or whether it is water.
Oh, nice. So, ma'am, can kinetic control be used in aquatic medium, considering the fact that sometimes there's I mean, most of the times it's a compound movement happens, as you said, if it's not here or if the person is not understanding, but can KC be used in an aquatic medium?
I'm sure we can. I mean, I haven't really tried, but I'm sure we can because, like, for example, if I want to do a test, which just giving an example of a test, like a forward bow test, okay? Now, whether I'm doing it on land and they are unable to understand because it's hurting them, or I start making it little easier for them by using the wall support. If you do the same thing underwater, water buoyancy can either help to assist the movement, or it can help to resist the movement. So it depends on what you want. We can do the same retraining in water and change it. I think it'll work different for different people, as even when we do retraining, we use different cues, we use different tests, we use different equipments to either assist the understanding of the movement or make it more challenging so that they can take it to another level. You understand? So I'm sure it will work even in water. I am pretty confident about it.
Wow. That's really cool if it works, because it will give, as you rightly said, it will help us correct the movement in the medium that also they are comfortable with. And
Absolutely.
then we can look at translating.
Right. And even when you guys use the noodles, when you use these little dumbbells, which will help you. So again, when you use dumbbell in water, you can use it to assist or you can use to resist, depending on which, whether you're doing to, using buoyancy to resist the movement or assist the movement. So I think I'm sure it will work for sure. And I think you guys are already doing it, and then shifting it to a compound movement, depending upon, like, you also take it stepwise, right? So you start with a smaller movement and then take it to a bigger movement.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We do that according to the assessment. For a few, first in water, then on land, or otherwise for certain population, first on land, then in water. As you said, depends on the assessment and the response. I think, ma'am, we've lost the connection. Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I think the connection was a little up and down from your end, but I think it's all fine now.
All right. Sorry for that.
No, that's fine.
Also, there's a very common question asked, which chair should we take? Which chair should we order? What chairs will suit our back? So would you like to please help us with the same? Because all of us get bombarded with these questions, and what particular chair to be used is the common question.
Yes, I mean, even I get bombarded at the clinic, and after understanding the concept of movement and movement retraining and assessing it, we've come to a realization that, whether it is your back or whether it is, like, say, for example, it's a chair or it's a pillow. A lot of people say, oh, only this pillow will suit me, only that pillow will suit me, or I cannot sit on a low chair, I cannot sit on a high chair. Wherever we go, if you have a backache, you're not going to be able to adjust to different chairs. Okay, now you're not going to get the chair you want every time unless it's your environment. Okay, what Casey says that Casey talks about a lot of movement health. Now, whether it's a movement health of your spine, whether it's your lumbar spine, or it is your neck, or any joint. Now, what it says that you should have, one of the components of movement health is variability, in the sense that you should be able to sit on on a sofa, to a low chair, to a high chair, to an uncomfortable chair. Chair is not so important. What is important is you retrain your back muscles to suit every chair. Okay,
Nice.
and you will realize if you've got that back health, you've got your movement health in your spine and your muscles, which is your low threshold as well as your high thresholds work in synergy, then what kind of a chair doesn't really matter, because your back is good enough to fit into any chair. Okay, unless you've got a trauma or you've got an injury, I mean, then that's a different story. But otherwise, so as physiotherapists, our responsibility is to get every patient to an excellent spinal, lumbar spine health to suit every chair. So we don't keep hunting for different chairs. You understand? But because we miss that point, we realize that we have to look for different chairs and therefore call up people. Okay, can you send me an ergonomic chair? Of course, an ergonomic chair will always help, but we can't be always looking out for different chairs in different environments.
That's so true. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, train yourself to fit the chair. That's very true. And that's more
Right.
functional. I mean, that should, I think, be incorporated as a part of objective assessment also,
Yes.
because that's a
Yes.
common clinical scenario.
Right.
Dr. Himakshi, that was wonderful. I wish we could stay a little more longer and we could extract maximum knowledge that we can get. And it was absolutely wonderful learning few bits and pieces from you. And we are looking forward for learning more and more from you. You've always
Absolutely. Sorry, it's an absolute pleasure. I think the more people learn and more physios can do a good job and patients get more aware. I think that's all we need because we want everybody to get better. I mean, that's the aim of all our physios. Whether you use one concept or use another concept doesn't matter as far as it's making sense. And like for me, I think for me, combination of movement health through KC, combination of Pilates and core training through Pilates and awareness, I think has worked absolutely fantastic. And then you can take your overall health a notch higher by adding a lot of your strength training, whether it's functional, whether it is with aquatherapy, whether it is in the gym, it doesn't matter. I think when you do different types of training, your body gets adjusted and you will anyways overall improvise your movement health, and therefore you can do a lot better, you can move better, and your your day-to-day activities become a lot easier. I think that's what all of us are aiming at.
That's so true, man. That's so true. Having a holistic functional approach is what, and all of us are just new. We are all learning. I'm sure all our viewers keep viewing your videos to learn those simple exercises, but those are so effective. I mean, we would love if you have such more sessions for people like us who would wish to learn more and more.
Absolute pleasure. Not a problem, Nikita. And I really like because you guys are always doing it so professionally, do it so well. And I think when it's done in a very, very nice fashion and an organized fashion, then we waste less time and we get more information out. So I think you guys do a great job. And anyways, you're doing a great job with your aqua therapy. So I think that's really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for being
Thank you.
with us. A big thank you to all our viewers for being with us. And everyone was very excited that Dr. Himakshi Basu is coming. So thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you, Nikita, again. And we shall catch up soon. Okay.
Soon, ma'am. Bye. Take care.
Okay. Take care. Bye.